Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Chinonye Nnakwe, or formerly Chinonye Nnakwe. I am the secretary for the Merciful Hearts Foundation, and am happy to be here to talk to you a little bit about the work that we do. This is a faith-based nonprofit organization that was started by my family, and a lot of the work is done from both my parents with support of other board members that are our friends and family members. And so what I wanted to do is to give you a snapshot of the work that we do and to help you know how you could be more involved. And I want to make sure that this laser, with this, there we go. So, there it is. Okay, so unfortunately it's a little multicolored, but if you can see here, this is the primary target group that we focus on. Impoverished women who are pregnant. We also focus on the elderly. And our key mission is to focus on providing healthcare services to impoverished women and children and elderly within communities in Nigeria. If you can tell from my accent, you probably would know that I'm American, but I'm also Nigerian. I'm from Imo State. Our town is Awamama and our village is Umokwe. And so frequently we go back to visit family members and see people that are there. We follow this mission because of the cultural norms that exist back home, right? Especially pertaining to women. Pregnancy for women is a burden, where the societal pressures pressure women to have children, and if you don't produce children from your marriage, you're not valued in your community. You're also not valued by your spouse, and given that there are polygamous relationships that are part of the culture, that can be part of the culture, one's husband may seek another wife in order to have another child, to have children that he can produce and have for his own. Also within this cultural context, women are tasked with every aspect of the pregnancy. So it's their duty to make sure that they're healthy, that they're being a mother, they're being a wife, they're maintaining the house, they may have a job. You know, if they have to go to the hospital, that's on them. It's really a heavy burden and responsibility, and it's kind of just left to the woman, right? And so one example of this is from one of our clients who my parents saw about a year ago, where she had previously had 2 cesarean sections and was advised not to deliver again, not to have another child, but under duress, you know, because she wanted to be able to provide for her family, provide children for her family, because the first two pregnancies did not come to term, she got pregnant a 3rd time and really kept this to herself for the duration of her pregnancy. And my parents saw her when she was in her 7th month of pregnancy. She hadn't received any prenatal care or any services. And so by being able to connect with her, we were able to give her services to help her deliver a healthy child through cesarean section, but this time the child had lived. The Merciful Hearts Foundation was actually a brainchild of my parents, particularly my mom, who typically travel to Nigeria every summer to visit family. Is that 10 minutes? Okay. And, oh, that's more than I thought I had. That's great. And whenever my parents would travel back, they would hear how someone died from some preventable disease or from childbirth. And one particular moment that struck my mom was that there was a woman that my parents met, my father's cousin's wife, who came to ask them for money about like 7 o'clock at night, right? And then later on that night, they received a call, maybe like 3 a.m., that she died in childbirth. And this is something that is devastating, but was treated with a very nonchalant attitude. You know, this is something that happened, she died. You know, and just to think of living in a society where that happenstance of death is so common that it's just not regarded, really struck my parents, and it drove them to create Merciful Hearts Foundation. So we've been doing our work, trying to get things started, and have been helping people since 2006. And in addition to pregnant women, we also focus on their infants that are under 5 and children that are also sick and impoverished, as well as elderly citizens. We have tax-exempt status, so all donations are tax exempt, and we're a faith-based organization. So to date, we've helped 212 women, we've helped 103 infants, and 5 elderly people. We really help provide healthcare services to these people. The way that we provide our services is multifold. When my parents go to Nigeria every summer, they work with the diocese and the priests in the area to recruit women to receive health care on site. And so we partnered with teaching hospitals in the area for doctors and nurses to come there and to meet with women who are willing to receive health care services. When they come, they meet with the doctor, they get a checkup, and then they're registered with the local hospital. And after that initial visit, they follow up with additional prenatal appointments and checkups until it's time for them to deliver their kids. We also, by way of helping deliver the kids, we also help the kids that are delivered as well as those that are elderly. And just recently, last summer, we had kind of an open forum to provide healthcare services to the children that were delivered as well as the elderly that were also sick. And another way that we provide services is that we provide transportation to and from the hospital for those appointments, as well as to the hospital when it's time to give birth. So we're almost 10 years old, we're about 8 years old, and there have been a series of very difficult challenges that we've been able to overcome in creating this not-for-profit and doing our work. And this is and I bring the challenges up because anyone who wants to start a not-for-profit on their own with no not-for-profit experience, no law background, there's a lot of factors that go into starting something from scratch. And it really makes me proud to be part of an organization, and my parents for really pushing through all the challenges that we've been through to be able to help so many people. But there are definite things that have to be overcome, because we all know that there's a whole host of scams and negative messages that come from Nigeria, right? Everyone's heard about 419, everyone has a friend that has promised to put money in their account, right? And so there's a lot of work that we have to do to make sure that we are demonstrating that we are a legitimate organization and we are genuinely interested in helping people. And we do that by raising money through the Catholic Church. And so my parents will go to different church sites that the Vicar General will designate for my parents and give presentations about our work there. And then during the daily Mass and the offerings, there may be a second offering, and that's where people can donate money. We also have a website that people can donate online, and we have ambassadors and individuals, donors who donate regularly to us. As well, we do work with other churches in terms of street fairs, or we have fundraisers to raise money for our organization. There are also challenges in gaining trust of the people that you would like to help. And that's something that my parents were not expecting when we first started trying to do our outreach. And so typically when they would go to the churches and talk about Merciful Hearts, the women there may not necessarily come forward initially until they start to see the work that you're doing and they start to see that you're genuine in our efforts. And so again, we work with trustworthy members of the community to be able to gain that trust. We also had to work hard to establish a reliable method of delivery, right? Because it's not enough to just give money to someone overseas, which is actually very not trustworthy. And so what my parents do is that we enroll and we register women when we go to Nigeria, right? So we collect money all year and then we go to Nigeria and deliver the services. We have an account that we're setting up there. And we also have trustworthy members of the church community that we work with to help deliver the services and to help provide the transportation. So there's a lot of partnerships that have to be built so that you can feel comfortable and trust that you're doing good work. In the last couple of slides, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the women that we've been able to help and maybe show some pictures. And I'm a little worried because some of the pictures haven't been coming out, so maybe if you can work with me on there. In some of our work, we've met with more people who already have diseases during their pregnancy. So one of our clients had malaria as well as anemia, and she came to us in the middle of her pregnancy. So imagine that you are carrying a child, you're anemic, which means that your child yourself, you're not getting enough oxygen, and then also you have the malaria parasite, which wreaks havoc on the body. And so because this patient was anemic, she also, that day when she was seen, received 3 pints of blood to kind of allay that malaria, and then also received medication for the malaria. Another patient had placenta previa, where the placenta is coming out of the cervix before it's time to give birth. So imagine how painful that can be, but because we were able to see her during her pregnancy, she was able to receive care and deliver her child normally. Another client that my parents met was leaking amniotic fluid for about 2 weeks and was at serious risk of infection, right? So imagine, there's 2 weeks, you're leaking amniotic fluid, right? And this is typically in the US, as soon as your water breaks, you're supposed to go to the hospital, even if you're not going to give birth anytime soon. So imagine this woman is walking around with pain, with amniotic fluid leaking, and she could have had an infection. But because we were able to meet with her, she received care, and the baby was induced, but the baby didn't make it. The woman made it, of course, and that's a blessing. And every time we help someone, we're not always able to help them in their pregnancy, but we are able to help the individual. And so we're comforted by that. Okay. The last thing I wanted to show you were some of the kids that we've helped bring to term, right? So this is a baby girl who we were able to bring, that the mother was able to bring forth in the world because of our efforts, as well as, the other one was supposed to be just demonstrating the doctors just registering patients. So with that, I'll end my presentation, but I just wanted to want everyone to keep in mind that we are a not-for-profit. We receive donations, we can receive them online, and contact information is in this presentation. I also have some brochures if you'd like to know more. Thank you.